Everyone wants to look for like some revolutionary new idea that hasn't been done before. The next Google, Amazon, the odds of you doing well with that are pretty low.
I made $826,000 in 2 years with just one no-code SaaS idea.
All the business gurus are doing, and that business model is SaaS. First video that I was supposed to was like Iman Gadzhi shut down his agency to go on SaaS. Ran up to 2 million views, 20,000 followers, kept pumping them out, and we went from 0 to 100,000 in 95 days. Like all these people that like viral short form, like they were hitting me up being like, what's your trick? And I was like, you could watch all the sales videos you want. And until you actually get reps in, you're not gonna be that good. Same way like I could go watch MMA videos, but like if I've never fought before, I'm not gonna do too well in a ring.
Let's say I leave this interview and I go, hey, you know what? I wanna build a SaaS product. Give me a step-by-step.
Number one thing that I start with is I wanna make sure that I'm choosing
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Money Buys Happiness podcast. Before we get into it, I love you guys so much. Thank you for tapping in, okay? Like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the episode, okay? Who do we have today, bro?
Today we had No Code Alex, okay? He's the man behind multiple SaaS companies and multiple exits, okay? He taught us and showed us how to create a SaaS company from scratch with minimal budget, minimal network. Anyone can do it. We're talking about no code over here. We also talk about his new venture, Paid, which is set to launch in a couple days actually, and it's gonna get creators paid, okay? No matter what size you are, 1,000 followers, 1,000,000 followers, Paid is gonna get you paid. Tap in, get that notebook out because you're gonna need it, and we'll see you next week.
Let's go.
Welcome back, guys, to another episode. Today we have No Code Alex.
Yes, sir. Nice to have you.
No
guys.
codes at all, baby.
Yes, sir.
You're like a master at starting stuff from nothing, making something out of nothing, from what
Right.
I see,
Yeah.
right? Starting from scratch, not too much money, not too much networks, and you make magic. You've built a couple successful companies. You're building one right now.
Yep.
But I want to get into who you were before the success.
Yeah.
And how old are you right now?
23. I'm almost 24. I'll be 24 in February.
So young.
Crazy.
So young. So
Crazy.
tell us, how does it start before the wins, before the success?
Yeah.
Who was Alex?
Yeah, I was a pretty like regular kid in the sense that I grew up in a good family in Ohio, and I was big into tennis. Like that was like, what my life was like up until 18 and even in college. I ended up getting a scholarship to play tennis in college.
Okay.
But I was always interested in entrepreneurial things, kind of how I feel like a lot of people are. And even I know a lot of my buddies started off this way. I worked one summer job ever, and I made $900 the entire summer.
Damn.
And I was like, there's probably got to be a better way. Because I think it was like, at that time, I think it was like $7 an hour.
Okay.
And that was when I started flipping shoes. And again, I think a lot of people start this way, but I even like started to learn the basics of like sales and how relationships can help you with business, because like what I would do is I would make friends with the managers at these retail stores that are getting like the exclusive drops, whether they're Yeezys or Jordans. And I'd be like, hey, do you guys need me to go get you like a snack or a drink or anything? Like I'd be doing that and becoming buddies with them and talking to them about like their different goals and aspirations. And eventually, like once I felt comfortable enough, I was like, hey dude, could I like slip you some cash on top of like every single pair of these shoes that you hold for me when they drop? And they started to say yes. And so all of a sudden I'm like this kid like walking out with like 10 pairs of exclusive Yeezys on every drop and, making a couple $100 profit in a day. And I was able to scale that up to like decent numbers. And that was kind of when I was like, okay, like there are better ways to make money. And that was my start into entrepreneurship. But then when I went to college, I was like, all right, new city, don't have the connections anymore in this new city. I don't have a car to be traveling all around. I got to figure out how to do this online. That's kind of like what then led me down that rabbit hole.
And I guess at that time when you're, flipping the shoes and also like learning how to provide people value, like, oh, I'm going to get you a coffee.
Yeah.
Juice them up a little bit because at the end of the day, you're going to want something from them, right? But at that age, it's impressive.
Yeah.
Right. But was there anyone that you were seeing in the entrepreneur world where you're like, oh, like that's someone that I would like to be like? Was it someone in your family or was it just online?
So my dad worked in finance his entire career. My older brother does the same. I was going down that path as well until I decided that's probably not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
There wasn't really anyone initially that I looked up to. I don't think so. My intro to like online money was a kid that I actually used to play tennis with. Okay. That he was a really smart kid. I didn't know him like that well, but I followed him on Instagram. Mm-hmm. And he put up a screenshot of a Shopify dashboard and it was like $280K on the month. And I was like mind blown. I didn't even understand at that point that was all like revenue, but I was like, what are you doing? And that was when he explained drop shipping to me. And that was what I tried to get my start in with absolutely zero success. I lost like all my money trying drop shipping. It was obviously way harder back then too, because you had to spend money on ads. But that was then like how I got intro to like online business. And then I kind of went down that rabbit hole, and that was like, yeah, eventually like, you know, I even found people like Iman early on, you know what I mean? Like I bought one of Iman's programs in like 2020. And some of those, you know, guys that became bigger figures, you know, I kind of saw them and it was like, okay, like these guys are doing it. Like, you know, why couldn't I?
Yeah. And at that point, okay, so you're like, okay, I got to be in the online world.
Yeah.
But I also read that you mentioned it as well, that you dropped out of school.
Yeah.
So when does that match up with you getting into the online world? Was that around the same time?
Yeah. So basically I made my first money online in January of 2020.
Okay.
And that was just as like a closer, as like a sales rep.
Okay.
And since I was in college playing tennis as a full-time student at this time, I didn't really have any time to take the sales calls from my clients. So I was like, I'm going to outsource the sales calls to another sales rep and we'll like split the commission. And that was kind of how I like stumbled into like the sales agency model.
Okay.
And it was actually scaling pretty decently. And that was when I joined Iman's course of like how to scale it as a sales agency. And then everyone was like, dude, this is like a dope concept, but like, we don't want to work with an agency. We don't want to pay 25%. Like we want an in-house sales rep that we can just pay 10. But like, we'll pay you thousands of dollars if you can find that person for us. So then I was like, okay, recruiter, like recruitment business model. And then I became a freelance recruiter. But then I was like, again, I don't have the time to do this, to do everything manually. And that was kind of when I started playing around with the idea of like a niche hiring platform, where it's kind of like, it was almost like a hybrid of like a recruitment agency and a fully self-serve hiring platform. Because, you know, it's not like Fiverr or Upwork where there's so many applicants.
Yeah.
Every single applicant that's inside the platform is so heavily screened. It's just like, rather than me interviewing and hiring on your behalf, I'm like, the clients are smart enough to do that themselves. True. And that was how Closify was born in January, February of 2021. And then I dropped out in April of 2021.
Okay. So the first, I guess your first stab at it was direct sales.
Yeah.
And what were you selling at that time? Do you remember?
Yeah, the very first thing I ever sold, and it's so funny because like I thought this was like, you know, high ticket sales. It was literally a $250 Amazon FBA program.
Nice. Okay.
So my first ever commission check that got Venmo'd to me, I'll never forget, it was $37.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I had no idea how to sell, no sales training. But the thing is, I was an 18-year-old kid that I was talking to other 18, 19, 20-year-old kids that were exact same as me. They wanted to change their situation. They wanted to get out of college. They wanted to make online money. And so it was just like an instant level of rapport.
Yeah.
And rather than me trying to like follow some framework that I found online, it was literally just like I was kicking it with a friend on these calls. And I think it's because of that. And granted, it was also only $250, but like I was closing at like 60%.
Damn.
And then, yeah, we scaled to some other offers. There were some drop shipping offers. We had a female client that she sold business coaching for women. And then eventually we scaled into like literally all different types of offers. And then we probably capped out like 6 or 7 clients as like a sales agency before we started Closify.
But talk about the sales, because, you know, we're big believers in like, if you're trying to start your own business or become an entrepreneur, sales might be the first thing you should start with because you're always selling.
Yeah.
Right. So talk about how much maybe that impacted you and what you were learning about sales and people at that age.
Yeah, so the biggest thing that I learned and I still carry with me today about sales is like, one, and I also got this from Never Split the Difference. If you guys have read that book by Chris Voss, it's like getting really good at active listening. Again, not even on sales calls, but like in every conversation you're always having of like, even like right now, like listening to what they're saying, not just thinking about, okay, what do I say next? And making people feel like they're understood, making them feel like they're heard, empathizing with them. In any context, a sales call, a relationship, a negotiation, that is going to take you so far. And so that's really the biggest thing that, you know, I took away is like, if you can be a likable person and if you can genuinely listen to people when they're talking and make them feel heard, like that's going to take you far.
It's an emotional thing.
Yeah.
You know, you have to relate to people when you're selling to them.
Yeah.
So you went from, okay, so you're selling the Amazon FBA, and then you said the agency starts, right? So talk about the agency a little bit.
Yeah, so I was really good at getting clients. I actually got really good at like outbound DMs very, very quickly.
Okay.
And so I kind of told one of my buddies, it's like, yo, I can get us clients in my free time. Like when I'm not in class, when I'm not playing tennis, whatever. But I don't have time to be taking these sales calls, and especially not during the day because, again, I'm booked all day. And so he was like, yeah, I'm down. And so eventually we had, 3 or 4 sales reps under us across our clients, taking, anywhere from like probably like 20 to 30 calls per day total.
Okay.
And yeah, like it was working. Again, none of them were like giant clients either. By like, if you look at like sales agencies today, like they're probably not taking on a client making less than 100K a month. Like these clients were all like still smaller. They were probably doing like 20 to like 40K per month.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, it was great. It was a great business that I could run while I was in college. That really all I had to do was get the clients for it. And yeah, that was kind of like my intro to it all.
And to get the clients at that point, you said outbound DMs. Like, what was the strategy to get clients at that point? Because at that point, it's not like you had a lot of legitimacy or a big portfolio. And I think a lot of people are in that position where they're like, oh, like I just started. How am I going to get clients?
Yeah. So funny enough, the first client that I mentioned, Amazon FBA, he was like, yo, I like the sounds of this, but to your point, I don't know you. You have no track record. You have nothing.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll tell you what, if you can bring me one deal, I'll hire you. So I actually went into like an old sneaker group chat, selling group chat. And I was like, yeah, who wants to learn how to sell on Amazon FBA?
Yeah.
And I ended up closing someone from that. So he was like, and it was like within like 3 days. Like it was super fast. He was like, holy crap, how did you do that? And so he hired me. He gave me a killer testimonial pretty short after that I could leverage. But then I would just go on Instagram and I would search up different types of coaches. And I would basically I would never like immediately pitch them. I think that's a lot of people's problem right now is they just DM you and they say, hey, do you need copywriting? And you're like, wow, I've gotten that same DM 75 times today. And so what I would do is like, I would find something like very specific on their profile. And so like, as an example, like I remember this one, it worked super well. There was a video of this guy that he had posted of him skydiving in Hawaii. And I was like, dude, you have to tell me about this experience and like how, and he was like a young kid as well. So I was like, how did you possibly let your parents convince you to do this? Like mine would never. And we literally just like chopped it up about like skydiving, his favorite vacations. And then we even talked about like our different business aspirations. And I literally just like slipped in. I was like, yeah, like when we were talking about, I'm like, I'm trying to be a sales rep. I'm trying to scale the sales agency. Like didn't even pitch. We were talking about our goals, like friend to friend.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, honestly, I could really use some help scaling my offer. So then I started to get clients like that. Or just like, I always focus on like trying to like make online friends first.
Okay.
And then it would just like, they would always like naturally reciprocate and be like, oh, what do you do, dude? Like what type of business are you in? And then I would tell them, and a lot of the times they'd be like, oh, like we should talk. I could use a sales rep. I could use help with my funnels. And that was kind of like how I got really good at getting clients because I wasn't just like immediately pitching people. And obviously it took a little bit longer and it's a longer sales cycle, but it worked really well.
That's what I was going to say, right? You took the harder way, the longer way,
Yeah.
but you're actually building real relationships.
Exactly.
Where like if I go on my LinkedIn right now and I go to my DMs,
Yep.
it's horrible. It's
Yeah.
the first message, 3 paragraphs long, and
Yeah.
everyone's doing the same thing, right? It's just they're trying to take the easy way. But I'm interested to know, are you auditing the way that you're selling at that point? What I mean by that is like, hey, I'm using this script. Fuck, this script's not working as well. Like, let me change this. Or I reached out this way didn't work. Let's try a new game plan. How was that for you?
Yeah. So I never followed a script like kind of like word for word, but I always had kind of like a general framework.
Okay.
And it wasn't really until I didn't really have much to go off of though, right? Because I didn't inherently know what's a good close rate, what's not. Like I didn't really have like a sales coach for the longest period of time to like know.
Okay.
And I think kind of naturally over time, I don't know if it was like subconscious or what, I think I kind of realized that like I sell my best when I'm kind of just like being like an authoritative figure and like I just genuinely am really good at what I'm talking about.
So confident.
Confidence,
Yeah.
exactly. Like it honestly has less to do with the framework that I follow. It's just literally like your conviction in whatever it is that you're saying.
Yeah.
And so for example, like if I'm talking about like, I don't know, if I was selling someone like a content coaching program, like I don't have one, but it's like, I know that I'm really good at content. Like I went from 0 to 100,000 on Instagram in literally 95 days.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I know there's certain video archetypes that do well.
Okay.
And so if I was talking to someone about growing on Instagram, I would be very confident in what I'm telling them works just because of I've done it.
You've done it.
So you're saying to sell something maybe that you have a lot of knowledge in.
Yeah.
Right? Is that where
Yeah.
you're going with that?
Exactly.
So if there's someone out there maybe listening saying, hey, I'm trying to be a closer, I'm trying to get into sales, maybe sell something that you know most about.
Right.
It sounds simple, but a lot of people won't do it, right?
Perfect example is I have a really good friend that a year ago exactly, he took the leap and quit his corporate 8 to 5, cold calling 8 to 5 job for like very low salary. And he used to have a car detailing business. And I got him on a high ticket sales offer selling a car detailing like scaling offer, like how to scale your car detailing business. Wow. And in his first year, he collected $1 million.
And he loved it.
Wow.
And he's
loved
closing
it.
at
Wow.
like 60% on like a $6,900 offer. Like,
Because he knows what he's talking about.
He knows what he's talking about.
But I'm curious. You said something that I feel like is, I'm not gonna say a hot take, but I usually see the opposite when it comes to sales. There's the play of get straight to the point and provide the value, and like if you provide enough value, they're gonna buy. And then the flip side, and what you're saying is you're going in from a completely separate approach of like, I'm gonna be like friends with this person, just like level with them, and you know, organically that might turn into a sale or something along those lines. You're going the complete opposite of like what I usually see from like the hardcore like sales guys, you know?
Yeah. And
No, go ahead.
I butt heads with those types of guys a lot because I also don't really believe in like the hard closing.
Okay.
In the sense of, you know, sales and marketing are obviously like coherent. And so at a fundamental level, and this is like, it's like propaganda, but it's like everything's propaganda, right? Like propaganda is like repeating a message until someone believes it for good or bad.
Yeah.
And so it's like when you're marketing, when you're on a sales call, when you're writing a VSL, with any given person, there's like 2 to 3 core beliefs that the prospect must believe, that if they believe them, they're gonna buy. There's zero reason why they wouldn't. And so if you're doing a good job throughout the full cycle of marketing and sales, and you have a good VSL, and you have reels, and you have ads, or your cold email, whatever it is that you're generating in it, like you shouldn't have to hard sell. Like they should come as a close, like they should come onto that call with those 2 to 3 beliefs already held.
Yeah.
True.
You know what I mean?
Fair. That's fair.
Because if it's an ecosystem, the marketing, then the sales.
Yeah.
So you're going to them with the sales, and you're assuming maybe they already saw some of your marketing as well.
Right.
Right. True. Okay. So talk about Closify.
Yeah.
And how that starts, because you exited that as well, right?
Yep.
So talk about that a little bit, because you know we get a lot of guests that have exited businesses, but you're super young, right? And so we're impressed, obviously.
Appreciate it.
So talk about that, how it started, the vision behind it, and eventually how you exited as well.
Yeah. So basically I had the idea for it. I was like, you know what, this recruitment model is not working. It needs to be a hiring platform, but issue, I don't know how to build any type of, you know, platform, and I don't have the money to do it. You know, at this point I had like a couple thousand saved up, but like for my personal expenses, like not that I could just go shell out 10K to a developer, couldn't even shell out 5K.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I connected with a buddy, and he basically told me about no code. He was the first person to tell me about it. And he's like, dude, you could put this together on Stack or Airtable and Zapier with MemberStack. And so basically Airtable was just where the backend data was. So we would load the closer profiles, and it, you know, you made Airtable form, they'd sign up, they'd go into a database. We made Stacker the front end user interface. Zapier tied everything together, and then MemberStack was like the payments and like handled the memberships if they wanted to cancel their subscription, whatever. And so I was able to build, I'm not technical at all, I'm not good at technology. I was able to build that in a day, like 2 hours, like 2 hours, yeah. And again, it was super ugly. Like I could, you know, it was ugly, but like it delivered the core value promise of someone paid and they got access to vetted salespeople.
Fair.
Made a few $1,000s with that. Took $1,500 or $2,000 and paid my buddy to build a slightly better looking version on Webflow using custom CMS. Again, looked slightly better. And then we changed the pricing to be a little bit higher ticket up front, made a little bit more money. And then we finally, in April of 2021, right when I dropped out, was when I hired a Bubble developer to build us a much better platform on Bubble. So that took a few months to get built out over the summer. So over the summer when I was at home, like we weren't really making that much money because we weren't taking on new clients while it was being rebuilt. We relaunched in July, did like 15K our first month in July, which was like really good for me. And I'd signed my lease in Miami at this point, so I knew I was moving to Miami at the end of September. And when I got to Miami, I also knew that like I had to grow quickly because I put my buddy on $2,500 a month salary, so that way he would move with me and be our sales rep.
Nice.
And then first month in October, we did like $50,000, which was like unreal.
Yeah.
We took that money, and that was all from like cold email. We had a cold email agency that was running it for us. Took that money, hired an SEO agency, and it took a few months for that to kick in. But even like right now, if you search hire commission-only sales reps, like Closify is the #1 organic result.
Nice.
And then in 2022, around like March, April, May of 2022 is kind of when like the snowball effect really kicked in. The SEO was working now. We were sending even more cold emails. We were sending way more LinkedIn DMs, more cold callers. We even did like a, kind of like how it was the year 2022 was the year Tate blew up by having, you know, mass accounts.
Yep.
And we did a very similar thing on LinkedIn, actually. So LinkedIn originally had a little, I don't know if it was a glitch or not, but you could like paste a code in and you could bulk add prospects at once. So usually you can only add, you know, like 20 people a day. You could add like 2,000 a week or something.
Nice.
And so we basically had all these like, basically affiliates make their LinkedIn page optimized the exact same as mine. Their banner said Closify. It said they worked at Closify. They had the same bio as mine, the same featured section as me. So like they had our VSL in there, the call booking page.
Okay.
And so we had them all, we told them how to like scrape our ICP. We had them all add 2,000 people like per week. And then I gave them a folder of my best performing Twitter threads that were like B2B focused of like how to build a sales team and repost them on their LinkedIn. And all of a sudden everyone was like, dude, I'm seeing Closify all over LinkedIn.
Yeah, no shit.
Nice.
And so we actually had to like tell them to stop because we actually started booking too many appointments and closing too many clients to where we were losing sales reps faster than we were replacing them inside of the
Really?
platform. Yeah. So from
But why losing them? There's just too much.
losing, they were getting hired.
Oh, okay,
They were getting hired.
okay.
So all of a sudden, and like they
Well,
were,
they're getting hired too quick.
and we started working with some like really big companies. At the start, it was like, you know, it might be an agency doing 30K a month that just wants to hire a sales rep to take 5 calls a week. But towards like in 2022, we were working with 7, 8, even some 9-figure companies that like they're hiring every single month.
Yeah,
They're taking half of your inventory
Yeah.
every time.
So to stop you there, the business model of Closify.
Yeah.
So it was, you have the sales force on one side that's being hired.
Yeah.
And then you have the client signing up for the app.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Is that like in simpler terms,
Yeah.
obviously, right?
Exactly.
Oh, okay, cool. So how are you? So your job was to find clients and Salesforce.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So how are you managing both of those sides of it?
It's actually, it was one of the most difficult things about running that business.
Yeah.
Specifically because you had to almost like manage the ideal ratio.
Yeah.
In the sense of there's like too many sales reps, it turns into an Indeed Fiverr situation where you're like, I'm just sifting through garbage.
Yeah.
Right. And if there's too few, then people are annoyed because there's like no options to choose from.
Yeah.
Of course.
So it was actually very difficult to like manage like what that ratio was.
Yeah.
It was one of the hardest parts of it. And also at a point, the biggest bottleneck and constraint was the talent side of the sales reps. And so basically we only ever allowed experienced sales reps inside the platform because my thesis was like, yes, sales training is great and there's amazing sales trainers out there, but I kind of compare it to fighting. It's like you could watch all the sales videos you want, but like until you actually get reps in, you're not going to be that good. Same way,
Yes.
like I could go watch MMA videos, but like if I've never fought before, I'm not going to do too well in a ring. You know what I mean? And so that was my thesis. But then I was like, okay, like eventually, and we were also only finding experienced people in our clients' niches even. So like if you sold door to door, we're not going to let you sell for our B2B SaaS client.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And so, but eventually, obviously, that became very hard to find that talent. Okay, how do we find more people with experience in B2B SaaS that are like willing to like leave corporate to come do commissional, like stuff like that?
Yeah.
And so leading up to like a lot of the reason why I ended up selling it was one, I got super burnt out. I was like, a big part of my job actually became they're like, all right, Alex, you need to focus on content now. And it's kind of funny how it all played out because I hated making content. I was like, I don't want to talk about hiring sales reps. I don't want to talk about sales systems anymore. And I was like, I just don't want to make content. Like, I just want to grow this business with cold email and sales reps. I don't want to make content. I don't want to put my face out there. I was like totally anti all that.
Wow.
Okay.
And I was paying a YouTube video editor like $2 or $3 grand a month. He's like, dude, you don't send me videos to edit.
Like I don't want to do videos, bro.
And that's, he was like, dude, he was like, just make a video about something you find interesting. And I had like 40 subscribers and I made a video. No, didn't plan an idea, didn't plan a script. Literally just one day just sat down behind my computer on my my Mac webcam and microphone, just hit record, talked for 18 minutes about no-code SaaS. And with 40 subscribers, it hits like 20,000 views after a few weeks. It starts to add a lot of subscribers. Wow. So that was kind of like my first like people want to like hear more about this. Mm-hmm. And this was in like November, December of 2022.
Okay.
So this was when I was like, okay, there might be like something bigger waiting for me that like could be an even bigger opportunity.
So you didn't exit at that point yet.
No, but that's when I started
But you were
looking.
like burning out and you're like, okay, I got to do something else maybe.
And I was looking. Also, we had, so there was that, I was burnt out, didn't want to do content. and we were struggling with the supply side of things on the sales reps. Okay. And so around December, January, I was talking to a lot of private equity firms, and all the terms this is like what I learned about from the exit process is like they would give great numbers in terms of like what they're offering to buy it for, but the terms would be awful.
If to stay on, they want you to stay on, run the company for 5 years or whatever, right?
Again, I was burnt out. I was done with this thing in a sense. Well, I still believed in it a lot. So I didn't want to sell 100% either. Okay. I wanted to sell majority.
Okay.
But so they all wanted to buy 100%. They all wanted to do like 6 months of due diligence, and they all wanted like a 2-year earnout.
There you go.
So I'm in the company for 2 more years.
Yeah.
And I was like, this sounds awful. Like the dollar amount you're putting in front of me sounds good, but this sounds awful.
Okay.
And so I wasn't open to any of those because like there's just I just knew I was like, I do not have 2 years of this in me. And that was when I talked to Luke, and we were able to come up with something that was much more synergistic for both of us. He has the supply side because he has a coaching program for sales reps, so it's like he had immediate access to supply.
Okay.
And he was also open to buying majority, not 100%. So that way I get the future upside as well. And so that was like the reasoning behind that. And obviously it was also a much faster process. And at this point, once it was funny how it all worked out, because once it actually went through, it was like a week later that I posted my first Instagram reel. They got 2 million views and added 20,000 followers.
Wow. Just like that.
And then like literally like a week after the deal closed, I went 0 to 100K on Instagram in 95 days.
So before we get into SaaS and what you're doing now, just to close out that sort of you selling the company, from the day you say, all right, I need to sell this thing to some extent, majority, however you want to do it, till it actually closing, how long is that period of time? Yeah, so I think I probably started looking in December of 2022, and the deal went through in March. So it was like 4 months. Okay. Well, that's fairly quick, actually. Yeah, it's actually very quick, yeah.
And you reached out to Luca?
Luke. I reached out to Luke,
Luke.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not talking about Luke and Nats.
No. So Luke was a partner, but Luke is the one that acquired majority from me.
Okay. Yeah. And you didn't work together before you just reached out to him?
Well, with Luke or Luca?
Yeah, Luke.
Yes. Okay. I mean, I've been really good friends with him as well since 2020. Okay. So it was also someone that I like trusted. Because even like when I was talking with my attorney about some of these offers, like he was telling me about all the different ways that these private equity companies can try to like screw you over. The deals between like, I don't know, like kicking you out of your company. And he was even talking about like corporate raids, like things that I hadn't heard. But yeah, I definitely learned a lot through that process because I was a very naive, I think I was 21 at the time. And so, I was a naive kid and I was kind of like, oh, like I thought they just like, you sign a contract and they send you a check. Like, and then you're good. Yeah. So I had no idea any of the complexities about it. So it was like incredible learning experience. Yeah. Okay. And then you go to Luke and you guys put this deal together that I guess to me sounds almost like a match made in heaven. Yeah. Because you still get to see your baby grow. Are you still sort of consulting the business from a high level? Yeah. So basically just an advisor. Okay. Like when he wants my input, like, I give it. Sure. Yeah, that's really the extent. Other than that, you sit back. Yeah. You got a check. Yeah. And you're like, I'm on to bigger and better things. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about those bigger and better things then. Yeah. Obviously, you're no code Alex. Yeah. Online, it's SaaS, baby. It's all we hear about. I want to start here before we get into that. I want to start with why SaaS and why, are guys like Iman, for example, like whenever I watch a video about him, good or bad, they always say, he talks about the sales agents, he talks about da-da-da-da, but they're all making money on like selling their SaaS business. Even our friend Jordan Welch did the same thing. He sold a SaaS company. So let's talk about that. I want your opinion on why SaaS and why some of these big guys who had sales agencies, who had, impressive YouTube channels, all these different revenue streams, why are they, diving headfirst into SaaS? Yeah, so there's a few reasons. Obviously, monthly recurring revenue is great. It's cool to have it. Recurring is predictable. Yep. 2, the software is the fulfillment. So like I personally hate running any sort of agency. Yeah. It's an operational disaster. I don't like managing people. And so when the software fulfills the service, it's obviously a little bit more seamless. But then the main reason that, we kind of all know is the exit multiples. And so it was actually like Luca that he's hammered this into my mind. He's obviously practicing what he preaches with Pudgy. As he would always tell me, he's like, dude, like you're not going to be rich. And when he says rich, like he means like 8 figures. Yeah. He's like, you'll never be rich until someone just writes you one big fat check. And that's what he would always tell me.
Facts.
Yeah, he's
Facts.
like, you know, like you can hustle, like even at like if your business does $1 million a year revenue top line, like people don't realize that you're probably taking home like maybe 250, and then you have taxes and like it's hard to even like save $1 million liquid. You know what I mean? So he was like, dude, you won't be rich until you get one big check, and so that's why like a lot of these guys are doing it, because of the enterprise value that they're creating, to where, you know, they can sell these for like a 4 to 8 to a 10x multiple.
Sure.
So yeah.
Okay, so you think they're doing it from the enterprise value from a sales perspective, but what about the other side of actually bringing something like this to life, right? You're preaching online that it costs $0 essentially.
Not quite zero.
Okay, close to.
Yeah.
Close.
But you can do it for like, you know, a lot less than what it was possible before, and even in the last year. So obviously I used to talk about almost exclusively no code, because these tools didn't even exist then.
Fair.
But now there's these text to app tools that are insane. I'm even an advisor for one, create.xyz.
Okay.
And I was like, I gotta come on board this company, because when I tried it, they actually reached out to me, but then I tried it. A lot of people reach out to me with their tools and they're like, we'd love for you to come on board. And like usually like to no diss to them, it's just not there from a product perspective to where like I would like put my name or my brand behind it.
Sure.
And I played around with this tool, and it's, you know, these guys like went to Stanford, they're brilliant. And I played around with this tool and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Like I literally typed into this little chat box like you would with ChatGPT, like build me a job board to hire sales reps, and it built it. Or, you know, you can paste a screenshot of a user interface and it'll rebuild it.
Wow.
Oh my God.
And it's crazy. And
Sounds
you know,
insane.
you know, someone's gonna like say like you can't build full applications yet or something, but it's like how quickly they're progressing is insane. It's like right now they're getting you probably like 70 to 80%, if not even further of the way there, to where if you learn a little bit about debugging and deploying them, like it's really crazy what they can do. And so, you know, these tools are not expensive. Like, you know, there's a plan on Create that's $20 a month. There's Lovable.dev and Bolt.new. They're similar, where it's like you can build some pretty crazy stuff and they're not very expensive. You have tools like Flutterflow's a no-code tool that you can build mobile apps on, and you can learn it in a few weeks, and then you're able to build a mobile app in like a few weeks.
Yeah. It's not like it's very different from even 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So let me ask you this. Let's say I leave this interview and I go, hey, you know what? I want to build a SaaS product.
Yeah.
Give me a step-by-step of what exactly you would do. It could be for any type of SaaS product.
Yeah.
Pick an idea, a SaaS product, and give me a step-by-step of how you'd build it.
So the number one thing that I start with is I want to make sure that I'm choosing an idea that's just like blatantly obvious it's going to work.
Okay.
Like I'm not trying to build the next Google, the next Amazon. Like I want to pick something that works. So I'm looking for basically either an app or a software that's already making a lot of money and there's a lot of competitors.
Okay.
So for example, one of the last products I built was a power dialer for cold calling. And I was like, there's tons of these that are making money. There's AirCall, there's Just Call, there's Dialpad. Like there's tons of them, and a lot of them, there's SalesFinity, and like they're all doing like millions a year. And so I'm like, okay, this is a giant pie, huge TAM. I can charge over $50 a month. I prefer software products that are a little bit more high ticket. And I was like, I know if I build this, it'll work. Okay. There's so many people making money. It's a giant pie. I can get a sliver of it. So then you need to come up with the actual like features that you'll need and your MVP. And so what I like to do is I like to search up those competitors' G2 reviews, and you can basically find out exactly what people care about. So in the good reviews, you'll see what they like, and in the bad reviews, you'll see what they wish they had, whether it's a missing feature, whether it's a pricing thing. And so with the dialer specifically, we found out that they really cared about parallel dialing, which is the ability to call like 5 people at once, and it auto routes you to whoever answers first.
Okay.
And then one of the other things was like local presence. Like when you dial someone, it'll show that you're calling from the area code that they're from. You guys have probably seen that with like even the spam calls.
Yes, yes,
right? Yeah. And so once I have like the feature set, I'll get it designed. So I have a design team, but you can do it on, you can learn Figma, but again, you can use these tools now like create.xyz. You can take inspiration from these others, paste their UI in, and then just tell it what critiques to make, and boom, you have your design.
Wow.
And then for development, again, you have your options. You can learn a no-code tool. You can play around with one of these text-to-app tools. Maybe a lot of people, they know how to code themselves if they're from that background. And I like to always build a waitlist page while it's being built. So like I'm getting ready to launch paid pretty soon. I've had a waitlist up that I just promote on my socials. And it's like we have 230 businesses on the wait list and 3,000 creators.
Crazy.
So that way, when we launch, hopefully this week, next week, you send out an email blast, you send out a text blast, and you should have paying customers from day one. And then it's like a pretty immediate feedback loop. You're gonna launch, you're gonna get your early customers. They're gonna say, hey, we love this, but we wish you had this. And then it's like literally a constant feedback loop of, the user, has a request. That request has to go to the product team. Product team makes a change. That change gets marketed out to new users. New users join. They have requests, and the loop goes on and on forever.
Okay, so let me ask you this then, because that's pretty detailed. I think, okay, what if someone wants to try and build a SaaS company? What's like an ideal budget, like realistic? Like, what would you say you need to start something like this?
I would say, like, to tell you like confidently, like I think you should probably have $5,000 available. Like if you couldn't put in $5,000 across everything, like development, any softwares that you might need, any marketing budget, even like your LLC formation, like you probably like should go sell a service or something first.
Sure.
But like with $5,000, like, you'll be fine.
I was gonna say 5,000 is pretty light.
Yeah.
For a new business.
How are you marketing it? Like what suggestions would you have for marketing?
So I've ran a lot of B2B products. So that was very heavily, like I said, cold email, cold calling.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until that I discovered firsthand how crazy content is that I made a big switch to content. Yeah. So now I'm a big believer in content and hiring creators. And so again, kind of getting into paid a little bit. I got the idea for paid because, like I said, I'm an advisor for Create, and I made videos about Create that did very, very well and added a lot of users to them. And I was like, okay, let me get a bunch of creators to post about Create for performance only, where I'll pay them like $1 per 1,000 views, and let me see what that does. So all of a sudden we had like a little army of creators posting about it, and it was doing well. Same deals we kind of talked about with Closify and the recruitment agency. I was like, okay, I'm managing these creators for only one client right now. I was like, maybe this could be an agency. I was like, imagine the headache this would be to manage hundreds, if not thousands of creators across dozens of clients.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, okay, this has to be an app. And so it's a mobile app for creators. It's a web app for business owners. And I was like, this is going to make the process way, way easier.
Damn. And that's something that I feel like the creator aspect from a marketing angle, we've been saying for like ever. I think I don't care what type of business you run, like to have a army of creators pushing your product strategically, right? Sort of having some scripts and, giving them an idea of how to sell it, how to pitch it, whatever the case may be, is the best way. But you're saying for SaaS, it's like 100%, like you would, that's your number one marketing strategy for it?
I think it's going to be because, again, I was the biggest proponent. Like even a year ago, I probably would have been spewing to you guys about cold email and cold calling and LinkedIn. It all still works. Like I'll say that.
Sure.
Like, if you have a B2B company, you should 100,000% be doing that still. But as someone that was doing that in 2022, 2023, and even in 2024, the results of cold email campaigns from 2022 to 2024, they're down at least 50%.
Really?
Like,
okay.
They've gotten a lot worse.
Is it because there's just too many people doing it? Like people are getting too many messages about the same shit?
Yeah, I mean, there's more people doing it. And obviously it's like, cold email, it's like you're banking on emailing someone at the perfect time.
Yeah.
True. Right? Closify, for example, when we're sending a cold email to someone, you're hoping on the chance that you catch them when they're looking to hire sales reps. True. So it's a very small percent of the people that you're reaching out to, which is why you have to see success with it. You have to do crazy volume. Like you need to be sending 100 to 500,000 emails a month.
Holy shit.
The volumes, like you can't get away with sending like 20,000 cold emails a month anymore and thinking you're going to get any sort of meaningful results.
Well,
and so, go ahead.
No, okay. No, I mean, that makes sense. I didn't know that you would need that type of volume. That's insane. I mean, bro, we get like the cold emails we get is like, first of all, now it's actually all adding up because the amount that we get is incredible between our personal emails, the business emails, for our agency, all the different things, right? But I want to dive into your personal, Instagram. You said you grew it from 0 to over 100K in how many days?
95.
95 days. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
That's not easy.
No, it's
Instagram's hard, bro.
Well, he's going to tell you it's easy. That's the thing. So I want to know, first of all, what made you be like, I'm doing this? And then what steps did you take? Like, how the fuck did you make that happen?
So it was actually totally on accident.
Okay.
I wish I could tell you I sat down and drew up a game plan and it was like super strategic and calculated, but it was a total accident.
Okay.
So I did a podcast with this kid that had just moved to Miami he only did a month of college. He dropped out. He was 19. And he was like, do you want to do a podcast? And I said yes, just because I liked the kid and he reminded me of myself. But like, there was no benefit of me going on it. You know what I mean? Like, there was no viewers, like nothing. Yeah. Like, I really liked him. And it's Presley, like, shout out Presley. And after the interview, he was like, hey, do you want 3 short form clips? Like, that's what I do for a living. And I was like, I mean, sure, I'm here. And again, I'd never recorded a short form video before. I had no idea, like, what to do. And I just kind of, like, no script, just spewed off the top of my head. And the first video that I was supposed to was like, Iman Gadzhi shut down his agency to go on in SaaS. And so it ran up to 2 million views, 20,000 followers. And then I hit him up. I was like, dude, guess we're working together now. Like, this is working. And we kept pumping them out. And we went from 0 to 100,000 in 95 days, like I said. And then all of a sudden, it's like all these people that like teach personal branding and they teach like viral short form. Like, they were hitting me up being like, we've never seen someone convert so many followers to views. They're like, we have clients that get way more views than you, but they don't gain any followers. Like, what's your trick? And I was like, my trick? Like, like, what do you mean? And so I was like, huh. Like, I didn't even know that it was like good results of like the rate from views to followers. And so I started to like think about it because I wanted to figure it out. And I think the reason is because people are only going to follow you if you change a belief that they previously held. And so the reason is like his clients, there would be a lot of like lifestyle montages, kind of like the guru-y content that you see, that it makes you feel good. It gives you a dopamine hit. You hit like, and then you keep scrolling. But you're not inherently like, nothing changed for you after you watch that video. Yeah. And so if we take my most viral video, the Iman Gadzhi shut down his agency, starts off by like, when I say Iman Gadzhi, I'm calling out every single person that knows who Iman Gadzhi is. And then I say something slightly controversial. He shut down his agency to go all in on SaaS. And then I brought up Jordan Welch, and I was like, he's telling you to do e-com, but he does SaaS. And then I used, I think, Alex Becker. And I was like, or no, Sam Ovens. I was like, he shut down his 8-figure-a-year consulting business to focus on his SaaS school. And so I was like, 3 of like the biggest gurus of like this generation are telling you to do X, Y, Z, but they're all doing SaaS. And so when people saw that, they were like, holy shit, they actually are all doing software. And so since I was like the guy that like pointed that out to them, like changed their belief, like they followed me. And it kind of goes back to even earlier when I was saying in your marketing, it's like if people believe the 2 to 3 core things they need to believe, they'll buy from you. It's kind of like the same way to follow you. And so it's like, and then it's all your content's a funnel, right? So it's like my top of funnel content is like why people should start a SaaS. And then once you convince them of that, you need to show them how. And then at the bottom of the funnel, it's like, okay, you showed them why, you showed them how, and then like the third belief is like, why you? And that's when you drop in your personal experience, your testimonials, your case studies. But like at the end of the day, when I look back on it, I think that's why I grew so many followers, is because I was treating it like a true funnel and I was changing their beliefs.
Well, it's impressive. First of all, extremely impressive. And I think you kind of answered it, but I want to just kind of remake this point of, because that was a question that I had for you. You answered it was, it's not like when I go through your socials, it's not like you are getting them, but not every post is getting hundreds of thousands and millions of views. I see ones on there that are 9,000, 12,000, 15,000, 20,000, 7,000. But the rate of people following is next level. Yeah. And I think like if you look at, let's use Instagram, you look at Instagram from a business, like if you want to like make it look like a business, for example, look at it from that perspective. A follow is like someone buying. You know, it's the hardest part of social media, in my opinion, because you can go viral, you can get comments, you can get shares, but for someone to click follow nowadays, because it was so much easier even 5 years ago, like you got to really sell them on clicking that follow button. Right. So obviously you sort of have your thing. You're saying how, you're saying why, or sorry, why, how, and then the bottom of the funnel. So in terms of the amount of content you put out, is there any sort of framework to why you do it? First of all, how many times, let's say a week, are you every day? Like, what's your schedule like? And then there's a reason for that.
I probably post 5 times a week right now. When I went 0 to 100K, I was posting 2 videos a day. I don't have a set like ratio of like, oh, okay, this week I'm going to focus on top of funnel videos. This week I'm going to do bottom of funnel necessarily. But what I will say is the other thing that I always try to think when I don't script any of my content. I'll literally go to a shoot just like this, and I'll just sit down and I'll think of like what I did this week, like, and I'll make a video that way.
Sure.
But whenever I'm thinking of what my hook's going to be and what this video is going to be about, it's what video can I make that is useful to someone and that they might share. Because every single video that does well has a lot of bookmarks and has a lot of shares.
Yes.
So a lot of my videos that you'll see will be like hook, and then here's how to do it in 3 simple steps. Because when you break it down to step 1, 2, 3, they save it and they share it. And so that is what I realized. And I think that also goes back to getting people to hit follow, is if you're a page that like they could like go through it and they can genuinely like get actionable information that they can go implement today, they're going to follow you. Like some of my videos that have done really well around like getting an idea, it's literally like a 60-second video that teaches them how to get an idea. Like after watching that video, they can actually go and do the thing that I told them.
Yes.
So if it's actually that actionable and useful to them, I think they're way more inclined to follow you.
That makes sense. I mean, but to bring it back for a second, the fact that you go to shoots with no scripts is crazy.
Yeah.
And if I had to recommend to anybody, I would say don't do that. I think you got to be a very special person and very knowledgeable in the topic that you're speaking on. Even going back to the sales, you had that sort of that same mindset. But okay, so let's say. It's funny, I don't even know if you were expecting us to be like, give us the social media sauce. But I always love this because I think everyone has a different opinion on it and different way that they've built their social. So, you know, if someone's listening to this or watching this and they're saying, hey, Alex, I want to go from 0 to 100K in even 6 months, okay?
Yeah.
What's the step-by-step, what's the play-by-play that you'd give them to do that?
Yeah. So one, again, you need to understand that for a video to go viral, which you'll have to go viral if you want to grow quickly to an extent. And viral doesn't have to mean 1 million. Even like 100,000 followers or 100,000 views has got to be like 10,000 followers.
Yep.
You need to start the video with something that could reach basically anyone, right? So it's like when I said Iman Gadzhi, the number of people at that time that knew Iman Gadzhi was giant. He was so viral at that time.
Yeah.
So it's like you need to understand the language in which you're speaking and has to be able to reach the masses. Like I couldn't start a video when I had 0 followers and just like throw out words like LTV and like, you know what I mean? It's just like, here's how to bootstrap a software, like yada, 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 like stuff like that. It's just not going to reach the masses when you do it like that. Instead, I would make videos like, hey, if you've ever built a website on Wix or Squarespace, you know how you kind of just drag and drop? The same exists to build software now. So like using metaphors like that that can reach the masses, and like then they're like, oh, like interesting. You can build software dragging and dropping. Like I didn't even say no code. You know what I mean? It's the same way with Luca and how genius he's been with Pudgy. It's like he doesn't call Pudgy Penguins an NFT company because that doesn't reach people. He calls it an IP company. They put out a bunch of videos of just cute little penguins and cute little toys in Walmart and Target. Like they don't know they're buying from an NFT company.
Yeah. Sure.
You know what I mean? And so you have to understand like the language and the branding that you have to come out with to reach the masses.
Okay.
And then again, you have to make content that is useful and shareable. So it's like whatever it is that you're going to talk about, like literally think about like, here's like a hook or a framework that is like universal across like any niche. Like one of my videos that does well every single time I post it is you want to start a software company, but you don't have an idea. I got you. And so you want to do blank, but their major pain point, I got you. And I know that from being in the SaaS space that most people's biggest problem is coming up with an idea.
Yeah.
And here's like another little like nugget is if you find a video that does well, remake it. It'll go viral every single time. Wow. Every single time I make that video, you want to start a SaaS, but you don't have an idea, I got you. It goes 100K plus every single time.
Just keep running it.
And I'll make slight variations. Like sometimes I might say, go to acquire.com to find your idea. And then the next video I'll say, go to Crunchbase. And I'll say, go to Product Hunt. Like each way works. And just by making it different, it keeps it interesting. It keeps it fresh. And then the other thing is people are like, why aren't you like knowing your followers, like remaking that video? And it's like every single video that goes 100K plus, it's less than 10% of my followers that are seeing it. It's all new people.
It's all new people. Yeah. Okay. And the amount, how much content would you recommend they make in terms of like, let's say like a posting frequency? Like how often should they post?
I think if you do once a day and actually stick to it, like that's fine.
Yeah.
It's really just like whatever you can stick to.
Fair.
Like a lot of people, they'll come out, they're like, okay, I'm gonna do 3 videos a day and I'm gonna like speed run this, but like they can't actually stick to 3 videos a day.
It's hard.
So it's like whatever you're actually able to stick to.
Fair. Okay.
So talk about paid a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. This is your new project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Exciting.
Very exciting.
From what I understand is to get creators paid.
Yeah.
Right? Which I love that.
Yeah.
I think more creators got to get paid.
Yeah.
So talk about the vision behind it. I know you mentioned, you're launching soon, timeline, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And is this another company that you want to exit?
Yeah. Yeah. So it's probably the most excited I've ever been about a company, to be honest, just because I feel like everything that I've done in my journey the last 5.5 years, like points to this in the sense of I've already run, like Closify was kind of similar where you have supply and demand on both sides. And I feel like I learned a lot from that. And I feel like there were a lot of things that I didn't have with Closify that I have now. It's like I didn't have an audience then. I wasn't as well connected. I didn't have as much money. And so now that I have all that now, I'm like, whoa, I can do this way, way bigger. And so I basically I like to look at other niches or other sectors of business where something new comes in that hasn't been applied to other niches. So a year ago when TikTok Shop came out and all of a sudden e-commerce brands could have hundreds, if not thousands of creators post about their product for literally commission only, it immediately overnight changed how people run their e-commerce brands.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we saw people hitting 6-figure months in their first month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you guys probably talked about that with Rob. Like it
Yeah.
completely changed how it's been done. My buddy Hudson says the same thing. He's like, yo, like this is crazy. Like it literally changed comfort overnight. And so I was like, okay, that happened in e-com. Software and digital businesses, they're still all ads. They're still all cold email, LinkedIn, SEO. No one's brought over that same strategy of bulk performance-based creators to these industries. And I'm like, now it can't be done in the same way as TikTok Shop, where it's like someone can't check out a software from a video. But I was like, what we can do is just make it CPM based. So that's what paid is.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's smart. So it actually the idea came from, I guess, the way TikTok Shop sort of changed e-commerce from a physical product perspective.
Yeah, so I'm trying to build the TikTok Shop for digital businesses. It's where you set your monthly creator budget. You set how much you're willing to pay per 1,000 views on each platform, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube.
Okay.
Obviously, YouTube long form, you'll pay a little bit more. Creators connect their accounts. You give them a guideline to post inside of, and then you'll still approve their posts before they can be paid out for them, just so that way if they don't follow your guidelines, obviously they shouldn't be paid for that. But so then you actually only pay per 1,000 views. And it also solves problems that I've experienced. Is something else that I believe in. It's always better if you can to solve problems you experience. But I've had experience on both sides because I'm a part of the businesses that hire creators, but I'm also a creator that a lot of people reach out to for brand deals. And so it's like, for me as a creator, I don't want to make a video about something unless I think there's a decent earning potential.
Fair.
And on the flip side, though, as from a business owner perspective, creators often think they deserve a lot more than they should for a video.
Yeah.
And so it really levels the playing field, and it's fair because it's like, so if you're a creator, prove yourself by doing a CPM deal. And if you do well, the same way that it is for TikTok Shop, you start off commission only, but if you do really well commission only, a lot of these brands, they'll toss you a retainer or bonuses.
Yep.
Yes.
Same principle. If you do well on the CPM deals, then you can also get retainers and actual flat rate brand deals on top of the CPM.
Okay.
So it's the same principle. So I'm trying to build the TikTok Shop for digital businesses. So whether you're a software company, whether you're an app, whether you're a personal brand info product even. If you're an info product and let's say you run a paid Discord, like imagine all of a sudden you have a bunch of them making clips of you, or you have them making videos. If you're a drop shipping Discord, you have them making videos about drop shipping that funnels though back to your Discord.
Yeah.
Any digital business really I think can benefit from this.
And the pay per 1,000 views, right? That's what you said. Mm-hmm. Is there a certain amount? Like, is that set, or is that different based on the client?
No, you get to set it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
As the business, you
as
said
a
it.
business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be really interesting, especially when we launch, to kind of see how the supply and demand flattens out, because eventually the businesses are gonna be kind of competing for some of the creators, right?
Yeah, true.
And so, but by not setting a flat rate that's universal for the platform, it's again, I think it's a good thing that businesses are gonna have to compete a little
It's
bit.
free market. Yeah.
It's a free market.
You make them sort of compete. Hey, we were trying to bring way more creators. We're going to $3 or $5, $10, whatever. They kind of mix it. Is there no competitors to this right now?
I haven't seen anyone else that's done it with CPMs. There might be that it exists.
Sure.
There's a few that do similar stuff like creator competitions.
Okay.
But where we have the edge, especially, is we have distribution on both sides. I have access to tons of businesses that need creators, and I have access to tons of creators. I have a lot of partnerships with people that train creators. And I also think that, like, again, everything that I've done up until this point points exactly to me building this company.
Fair.
And so I feel like I know exactly how to build this business, exactly how to market it. And we have a pretty well built out roadmap of where the product is going, even that I really don't see anyone competing with us right now.
Okay, and to that point, I was gonna ask you, like, you know, you're obviously between your personal socials, coming on a podcast like ours, and openly speaking about this business before it's sort of like fully developed and launched.
Yeah.
Are you not scared that someone might just come and be like, whoop, we're gonna run the same type of model?
No, I mean, we'll be live literally in a matter of days.
Oh, okay, sick.
Yeah, we'll be
that.
like we're literally just testing on test flight right now. Like, we could apply to the App Store today if we wanted to. We're just doing some features, but no, I mean, I'm not worried about anyone competing. And it's like, again, there's no tech mode anymore. Like, I'm sure people will make variations of it. And again, there's not much of a tech mode. I'll be the first to say that. But we're gonna have the distribution mode.
Yes, that's where you win. You have the clientele from both sides.
And I really think that I'm a very, very good marketer. And I think the plan that I've put together for this is, you know, kind of like how I said, like, me blowing up on Instagram was totally by accident. And I wish I could say it was like orchestrated. I'll tell you, like, this is orchestrated.
Okay.
So like, you know, hopefully I'm right. And whenever people watch, I think, you know, whenever this comes out, people can see that it was an orchestrated launch, and it was an orchestrated plan for it to blow up.
And is there I mean, you're building this to eventually sell it.
Yeah.
Obviously, like you said, Luca told you, you're only going to get rich if you get that one fat check. So with that being said, is there a number in mind where you're like, this is what we're shooting for with this business?
Yeah, I'm going big on this one.
Okay. Like, what are we talking? What's big?
I think this one, I think in 5 years, like, I think this could be like a 9-figure business.
Nice. Nice.
Again, I really do see it as like a TikTok shop for digital businesses. We know how big TikTok shop is.
Yep.
We have, again, the 230 businesses that we have, like, we have over $1 million committed to be spent through the platform on creators already.
Nice.
So it's like, as long as we can just keep pumping in new creators into it, which we have a flywheel in place to do so.
Why not?
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask the creator side.
Yeah.
Like, how does it work for a creator? Do they have to apply, or
Nope.
anybody can join?
It's totally free. Anyone can join.
Okay.
Because again, the idea behind this is too that I want everyone to be able to be a creator. Like, yeah, obviously there's gonna be some bigger creators that, like, they want to do it full time. They want to make $10,000, $20,000 per month. But even the person that has 1,000 followers, there's some business out there that wants your 1,000 followers as clientele.
Yeah.
To where if you can get paid an extra $100, $200 a month and just pay for a dinner or two,
Yeah.
You're happy.
I see that as a total win. And so that's what I also love about this is it's such a positive sum business to where everyone wins. The creators make money, the businesses make more money, and I get to make money.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you how you plan to scale it, but with both those sides of it, it should technically scale itself.
Yeah.
Correct?
Exactly. Because the other cool thing is, like, the flywheel with the creators. So every time a creator invites, or really anyone invites creators to the platform with their invite link, you make 5% of their earnings in perpetuity.
Wow.
So that's what incentivizes them to invite.
Okay.
So as a creator, I can also make money that way, invite my buddies that are creators, hey, hop on, use my code.
Yep.
And now you're kind of like my creator in a sense.
Yep.
Under my little networking paid.
So it's the last step. I guess this is some game for people that are like building software, B2C or apps is, you know, it's the last step of the creator onboarding. You know, once you fill out like your interests and stuff to like help you match make you to companies, the last step is to invite it with your friends, and we'll give you the media assets to like give you a story post template with your invite link to put up. And even like another cool thing that we're doing is every time that you get paid, you know, you're going to get emailed and you're going to be given, again, a media asset. Hey, share this on your social.
Oh, sick.
Go share that you just got paid. Put this on your Instagram story. Go make a TikTok. Go put this on X.
Yep. That's an important part, like getting all these creators to act as just a billboard for you.
Yeah.
Right? So the more tools you give them, like you said, like, hey, here's a story post showing you just made this much.
Yeah.
Post it out. And then they're going to be happy to post it.
Well, everyone wants to flex.
They want to flex it, right?
Yeah.
Hey, look, I just made this, posting this. And then someone's going to watch and say, what'd you say? Give me your code. Let me join this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. They're getting to flex it. They're getting to earn 5% in perpetuity. And on top of that, it's like, you know, we're helping our creators make more money. It's like we're leveraging our brand, our reputation, and going out to these companies to basically get you paid by companies that you otherwise likely wouldn't have had a shot of getting in touch with.
Yeah. So do you think it'll be a solid balance between, let's say, like bigger creators and smaller creators, or do you feel like there's going to be a lot more smaller creators because of that kind of opportunity where like, hey, this is the first time I can possibly get paid?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's going to be a pretty good mix. Even someone like me, it's like I get a lot of requests for brand deals, but they're not a lot of ones that I'm ever interested in. So, but I don't mind doing them because like if it's actually a product that I like and that I use, like why would I not make a video about it to make some money?
Sure.
And so if there was an app like paid for me, like I'm gonna personally be a customer of it. Like if I can go on it, find a company that I like and that I wouldn't mind making a video about anyways and get paid for it, I'm gonna do that all day long.
It's a no-brainer.
No, I mentioned it because we just had an episode with our buddy Omar. He has Aria Music.
Yeah.
And he created a whole app to get smaller artists paid, music artists.
Yeah.
Right. So it's cool to me seeing like there's gonna be this huge market that even if you're a small creator or an artist or whatever you might be doing, you can make money off it.
Yeah.
Like I think that's the doors. Those are the doors that are opening now.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think TikTok Shop was the catalyst for a
Yes.
lot of this. Like
Yes.
they really showed like you can be a quote unquote, for lack of better terms, a nobody online.
Yeah.
And make tens
Yeah.
of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know, they made that real all of a
Yeah.
sudden. And now everyone's trying to say, okay, cool. How can we sort of use that model in our own industries?
Yeah.
Right?
No, it's like I said, there's this thing now happening where it's like, okay, well, you don't have to be the biggest to make money. That's
Yeah.
kind of like what I'm seeing, right?
Yeah.
And I'm loving it.
Yeah.
I'm loving it. And you know, kudos to you. You're putting a lot of people on. You're gonna make a lot of people money. We're gonna be on that platform for sure. I'm gonna be
What I love about it too, what I love about it
as much
is
as possible.
it's like with the 5% in perpetuity for everyone you sign up, it's almost like an MLM model.
Yeah.
However, remove the sketchiness. Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you know what I mean? Like I'm getting, you sign up, it's free for the creators to sign up. Yes or
Yeah.
no?
Totally free.
Totally free. So it's not like, it doesn't cost you anything up front. I'm actually just giving you another avenue to make more money. And yeah, sure, if you make money, I'm getting 5% of it, but
Yeah.
it doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
It affects paid on the back end.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So it's like it's MLM, but there's no one can ever come back and be like, you guys
Right.
it's so crystal clear and transparent.
How about like clients? Are you worried that like, okay, let's say I'm a client, right? I'm a business. I hop on and I'm just like, you know what? I really liked using these creators and paid. What's stopping them from like going on their own, messaging
Yeah.
them in the back end and saying, hey, like, never mind paid. Let's do our own deal.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, can you really stop that?
To an extent, no,
Yeah.
of course, like kind of with any marketplace. Now, the goal is to make it such a good platform and model though that they wouldn't even want to do that
they
to
don't
you.
even think about it.
Right? And so again, the payments are already automated. So it's like the first thing that they like have to do is they have to deposit their budget.
Okay.
Right? So that's step number one.
Oh, they put the money in right away.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so one, they have to do that. Two, they have a beautiful analytics dashboard. So you can see all the reports super
track,
easily
yeah.
and it's all being tracked. Whereas if you start going off of us and you do it all manually, like now you're back into Airtable and spreadsheets and
Yeah,
Zapier and automations. And we already have clients that if they were doing that actually manually, that now they're using us and they're fine with it because they're like, this is so much easier. And then continuing to build the product to be stickier and to be better analytics tools, even handling some of the, for example, handling the tax information for the creators, things like that, of like just making it so much easier and making it stickier to where it wouldn't make sense for either party to try to go around us.
For sure, not the creator.
Yeah.
I would say for sure not the creator.
Well, even for the business, it becomes like you think you're going to save money, but then like
Then you
you
have
said,
to hire
you, end up,
two
you,
more
you have to
people.
hire more people.
Yeah.
You got to have more softwares. You got to do all that stuff, and
Right.
then forget the money spent. It's the energy and the time
Right.
to manage these creators. We totally get it. Yeah, man, it's fucking genius.
So
dude.
in that's like being in this space now, how do you see that? How do you see paid evolving over the years?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you see in the future that like, oh, we'll probably implement something like that, or anything around the space in general?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what I want to share inside the roadmap.
Of course.
See, this is where you got to hold on.
Yeah.
to it. Okay.
No, I'll tell you, I don't have any, I'm not worried about sharing this. For example, I'll tell you one thing that we want to do is everything's going to be about empowering creators to make more money making it easier for business owners to hire creators. Everything's about making the entire process of just getting in contact with creators and working with them easier, more seamless, and making both parties more money. Something for me that's very annoying when people reach out to me for a brand deal, they DM me, they go, hey, we like your page. This is our company. What's your email? And then I give them my email, and then they say, okay, yada, yada, yada. What are your rates? And then I talk to them, and it's like, it's a lot of back and forth between it before you actually just like get to it. And then you might sign an agreement, and then there's a brief, and then there's an approval. Like, it's annoying, which is why I've done less brand deals than, I'd do more if it wasn't so annoying.
Sure.
So what we're building, I guess, even to compete with some of the link in bio apps, like a Stan Store, like a Hoobie or a Linktree, is it would be like getpaidapp.com/Alex. And that'll be in my bio. A company can just click on it. They can see all my following across platforms. They can see my rate across platforms. They can just check out right there. And then there's a form. They put in their brief. I make the video. It's all seamless.
Wow.
And so then imagine we have 100,000 downloads. We have 100,000 creators on the paid app. All of a sudden, there's 100,000 get paid app link in bios.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's a real problem, to be honest, because even for us, like, by the time the first email comes in from a brand deal, the agreements are sent, they send us the script, they approve it, they're asking about our rates. Sometimes it takes 3-4 weeks, 6 weeks, and you're like, I'm not doing this again for just that amount, right? And then, I think that's a great problem to solve.
Yeah,
you're onto something there. I don't think you gave away too much there. I think a lot of people know that's a problem, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sick. We're gonna get into some extra questions.
Yeah.
I mean, and then we're gonna have some fun too.
Cool.
Wow, crazy. Okay. I'm just blown away. So it's such a genius idea. Okay, cool. So obviously preparing for an exit, you've done it, and with this with paid, you're obviously planning that. So for anyone listening, how do you prepare for an exit?
Yeah. So it is a very difficult process. So probably number one is to have like super clean books, right? Like that should be like a given, but it's like a lot of people like really don't have their books as clean and proper and up to date as they should. Even little things like making sure you have like the most efficient like tax strategies. Like from day one, it's like you should have a really good bookkeeper, you should have a really good tax person. Like even like the smallest thing of like, you're an LLC, but you file taxes and S corp. Little things like that, like, matter. Operationally, it's like you need to be able to be removed and taken out of the business, obviously, to sell it. It's kind of like a saying. It's like everything that makes a business sellable also can make you not want to sell it. It's like true. It's like you have to be able to step away, and there needs to be someone that's kind of like a second in command that could run the show, and there could be standard operating procedures for every little thing in the business. So it's like the sales team needs to have very clear SOPs of how to run a sales call. Customer support needs to have very clear SOPs of how to handle a refund request, how to handle a chargeback. There needs to be SOPs for everything.
Yeah.
Like literally everything.
Yeah.
How to use the CRM, like the team meeting schedule, everything. And those are like the big things. And the other thing is like that's harder to do is just like timing.
Okay.
Right? Because it's like you want to sell when you're still growing, but you also don't want to sell before like you maybe you're still going to explode even more.
Yes.
So that's a hard one for me to like, give too much advice on of like, when's the perfect time to do it? Cause like, you want to do it when you're still growing, but also not too soon to where you're leaving too much upside.
Yeah.
But I would say like the big things from my understanding is like, make sure you have really clean books, have a good tax person, have a good bookkeeper, and then just make sure like, if you're not an operational person, which I'm not, like I'm a very visionary, I'm a marketing person. Like in any company that I do, like I need to have someone that can be the operational person, that can be the brains, that like I can tell the vision to, and like, they're like a Notion Airtable wizard, and they can build it all out in a pretty system.
Yeah. Okay.
So get your books in check.
Yeah.
Structure your business.
Yeah.
Processes everywhere.
SOPs for everything.
Yeah, literally
everything.
So you're pretty much just saying, set it up to be passed off in an easy way.
Yeah.
Where an investor's not looking at it like, bro, I gotta redo this whole business.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Obviously, it's 2025. Everyone wants to know AI. What should I be using? Blah, 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 this and that. Even outside of, let's say, building a SaaS product, what would you say are like the top 5 AI tools that everyone should be using in 2025?
Yeah. Obviously, like ChatGPT is really incredible still. Obviously, everyone knows about that one and everyone uses it. But it's honestly incredible. And honestly, what's kind of cool that me and some of my friends are doing, and this like helps me a little bit even because like you always need like an outside perspective sometimes to like look in at your own life. So even like talking to ChatGPT and feeding it information about like your life and like what's going on, and then asking it for like advice and to prompt you with like questions that make you think and things. Very interesting.
Interesting. Okay.
Almost using it as like a soundboard in a sense, or like I don't know, therapist, like whatever you want to
Yeah,
call
yeah.
it for business. It's been very interesting. Obviously, from all things, whether you want to build a website, a software, you want to design stuff, create.xyz, lovable.dev, bolt.new, all are like unbelievable. Even there's a lot of tools out there to like mass create content even that are starting to get interesting. Like I played around with Opus the other day.
Opus is sick.
Yeah.
I never really looked into it, and I posted a YouTube link of an old podcast that I did, and it made a bunch of clips.
Yep.
And it actually made pretty good clips.
Yeah. It chooses good moments.
We've used
Yeah.
it, and some of our most viral clips on socials have come from it.
Yeah.
And then you're looking at your editor like, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I was using that the other day, and again, I was like, holy crap, like I want to use paid for clipping for myself personally.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of like, Alex Heiden reels, whatever. And I was like, I could just go on podcast, plug this into Opus, and then the editor's job is
Let it fly.
easy. Literally just post it on the pages.
Yeah.
So I thought Opus was super, super impressive. I think those are the main ones for me.
Yeah.
I use ChatGPT. I use Create a lot to like design, prototype stuff. Even it's also really cool to build internal tools, especially even for like to use as lead magnets.
Okay.
So I'm big on giving out free stuff to like grow my email list. And the traditional lead magnet is just like make a free guide, make a PDF. But making tools can often perform a lot better. So example, I built a software idea generator using Create. That again, I know everyone's pain point is they can't come up with a software idea. So hey, by the way, and then they have to put in their email to save their idea.
Yeah.
Sick.
So building like little tools like that as a lead magnet, I like to use Create for.
And the thing I want people to know is like all of these tools are consistently getting better. Like I can speak for sure to ChatGPT and Opus especially is like we gave Opus a go more like just like trying to see what they were doing with it. Maybe like almost when it started 2, 3, maybe 4 years ago, and what it was 3 or 4 years ago in comparison to what it is now, it's a completely different app.
Yeah.
So all of these tools are always, they're always growing.
and they're all cheap, as well.
Super cheap. Before we get into, we have some rapid fire and then a couple other things we want to end the episode with. I'm curious, how has religion, played a role in your journey as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think it's made me always want to be like just as a business person, always do things the right way. I read the book of Proverbs not that long ago for the first time.
Okay.
And I kind of realized that like every self-help or business book that I had read before that I liked was really just kind of like taking from Proverbs to an extent.
Okay.
And so it's been very, very helpful. And even things like praying for wisdom has like helped me a lot of like, figuring out like even like the idea for paid, it kind of got like airdropped to me when I was like on a run one day. You know what I mean? I was just like, wait a second, like why is there no TikTok shop for digital businesses? So just always just making sure to like do right by people and try to form like only relationships that are a win-win and with people that, have good morals and good ethics, and staying away from any sort of money that I believe is not good money, just because there is money that's not good money.
Of course.
So yeah, I think it's been like super helpful.
And have you always been religious? Did you grow up religious or?
I grew up raised religious, but I definitely like fell away from it like after high school and in college.
Okay.
And then it was actually like after I sold Close the File, I was like, dude, I have no idea what I wanted to do. And that was when I went to church like on my own will for the first time. And then I like blew up on social media.
Crazy.
So it's kind of just like, I don't know, to me that was just like, God always has something better for you.
Fair.
It was kind of like what I thought.
I feel like religion is slowly becoming cool again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I'm happy to see, because I think like regardless of what you believe, there's a lot of good, messages within whatever religion, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm happy to see that, and I was curious, but no, that's cool to know. I think we got a question. Want to go rapid fire? Where you want to go?
We're gonna manifest right now.
Okay, let's manifest. Let's
We
manifest.
manifest on every podcast.
Yeah,
the
I love
guest
that.
does. But yeah, we're big into manifestation. So we want you, Alex, to manifest something on this show that you want to come true in the next, 3 to 5 years. We're gonna come back to this show, clip it again, and say this guy said it himself. Go ahead.
I would say 1 million users on paid is what we're looking for. 1 million users.
What time frame? We need specifics.
Yeah.
I think we can do it. I think we can do it in a year.
Wow.
I think we can do it in a year.
Wow. Okay.
So we're gonna clip it in a year.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got a year. You got a year from today, bro.
I think we can do it in a year.
Anything else?
That's really. I'm really fully
the main
focused.
goal?
I'm fully focused on paid right now.
Locked in.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me
Okay.
some rapid
Done.
fire.
We're gonna head some rapid fire, and then we'll get into the famous question. So we will start with, what's the weirdest cold call you've ever had to make?
This is a funny one. I cold called someone, and they were literally just like on the toilet, and they were literally like, "I'm on the toilet. Can you call me back in like 3 minutes?" It was really funny.
Did you call them back?
I did, yeah.
Did you close?
I don't know if they closed. I set a meeting for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right on.
Yeah,
Right
it was
on.
funny.
What is the biggest myth about SaaS businesses?
I would say the biggest myth is that, again, like, you should try to build the next Google, Amazon. Like, everyone wants to look for like some revolutionary new idea that hasn't been done before, and those are usually the ones that it's like the odds of you doing well with that are pretty low. It's like usually there's a reason someone hasn't done that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that shouldn't be your goal for most people. Like, I don't think most of us are trying to build the next Google. We just want to make good money in a predictable manner.
Fair. That's fair. Okay. What's the biggest mistake you've made in business?
Probably trusting the wrong people. Trusting the wrong people's lost me quite a bit of money.
I know that story
know.
all too
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I know that one all too well. Okay, what's one SaaS company you wish you built?
Got to give props to the boys at WAP.
Yeah.
They've built a killer company in a short time period.
They're killing it.
They are crushing.
Yeah.
They are crushing. Okay, hardest part about being a CEO?
Knowing what to focus on, where to spend your energy. I struggle with that at scale. Of like, where should I be focusing my attention to that only I can do? Like, not busy work that someone else should just be doing. Like, what can only I do to move the needle forward, and then focusing on that.
Damn, that is facts. Okay, most impactful AI tool you believe exists today?
I think ChatGPT or OpenAI as a whole might be the most impactful. I mean, they're even talking about like reaching AGI soon, which is like scary and will be insane.
Yeah.
But like that I personally use, it would be like Create. It's like has been the most impactful to me.
Okay. Most underrated marketing strategy?
I would say right now, performance-based creators. I would say right now, not enough people are hiring creators on a performance basis.
I like it.
That's why you're here.
Yeah, that's why I'm here.
I think that's it. I think we're good to go.
All right, the famous question, Alex.
Yeah.
Do you believe money buys happiness?
Yeah. It's actually funny because my parents and I used to debate this. Because like when I was a kid, I was like, it for sure does. Definitely, I would say if you go from a point of struggling with bills to complete financial freedom, you're not worried about it. Going from struggling to peace of mind, like, I don't know if you want to call that happiness, but like peace is like very valuable.
Yes.
I think it's like what all of us ultimately want. I would say it can buy levels of happiness, but it doesn't buy fulfillment, is what I would say.
Okay. It won't take you to the peak, but it'll definitely start the journey.
Yeah, you got to take care of the problems that money can solve, so that way you can focus on the things that money can't solve.
Boom.
Yeah.
I like that.
Told you he was a smart guy.
I like that, bro. I like that. Alex, man, thank you so
Appreciate you,
much,
man.
bro.
Appreciate you
This
guys,
was a master class, bro.
Appreciate
Might have to charge people for this one, eh?
Dude, I'm about to go start a SaaS company. No code Ernesto. That's going to be my new Instagram name.
Guys, you made it this far. Thank you so much. Like, subscribe, do the duties. We love you guys so much. And we are out.